Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back to the first day of our 2016 Royal Easter Show. And tonight is the start of our first round of the International Teams Rodeo competition between arch rivals New Zealand and Australia. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be 6 action-packed nights of bull riding, saddle bronc, bareback, steer wrestling, and the pretty ladies and fast horses with the ladies' bell racing competition. Well, so things can get underway, I'd like to welcome into the arena tonight the cowboys and cowgirls that represent that magnificent neighbours in our nation of New Zealand. Give them a big, warm welcome into New Zealand, the Kiwi Cowboys and Cowgirls. Come on, folks, let's make them feel welcome back here again in 2016. And undoubtedly, the team that wears the green and gold with pride here tonight, let's welcome the pride and joy of Team Australia, led out by their team captain, Robert Bandy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, just prior to the commencement of each one of our major international sporting events between Australia and New Zealand, we take the time and the opportunity to recognise the songs of the host nations and our visitors. And tonight, first and foremost, I'd like to ask everyone to be upstanding for a few short moments, and gentlemen to remove your hats, and I'll call on Keanu Tatotu to sing the New Zealand National Anthem.
E o whatua o ngā iwi matora ka whakarongona me aroha noa ki ahua ko te pai ki a tauto hatawhai mana a ki ti a mai a o te aroa. God of nations, at thy feet in the bonds of love we meet. Hear our voices, we entreat. God, defend our free land. God, Pacific's triple star, from the shafts of strife and war, make our praises heard afar. God, defend New Zealand.
Well, thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, it's now with great pleasure from the Australian Institute of Music, I'd like to welcome Diana Rogas to sing our very own Australian National Anthem.
See
right, thank you, Diana, and a very special thanks to Keanu. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, so we can get the show underway here tonight, how about a big Sydney welcome for the international team Rodeo Stars? Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome into the arena here tonight the pickup riders, the brothers, the Peter and David Kelly from the Horton Valley of New South Wales. And they will be the lifesavers when it comes to the sport of saddle bronc and bareback riding competition. Well, let me give you a sneak preview of the competition here tonight. Our first event, it's the bareback bronc riding. Competitors ride with a suitcase-type handle on Australian Cowboy from Bindoon, Western Australia. Will be first out in action, Jared Oversby. He's 27 years of age. He was the 2012 National Australian Bareback Riding Champion. The suicide ride begins, Sydney. Let's cheer him on, the Australian champion. Well, he's had a hard way down to the arena. Ladies and gentlemen, he'll take a no score in the bareback riding for Team Australia. No 2 points allocation. Now, the way in which our system works tonight, competitors will now be matched up against the opposing team member from New Zealand. Now, representing New Zealand from Courier, a little town on the South Island, is Matto Taylor. Matto's the youngest of their bareback riders at 21 years of age. He works as a livestock agent. And the horse that he's drawn from the famous Gill Brothers Rodeo Company from the Horton Valley supplying the livestock, it's Reuben time. Well, the 8-second ride begins. The Cowboy's got to ride for the 8-second period. The New Zealand Cowboy looking to get it done. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's pull our hands out of our pockets, put our hands together for our neighbour, Matto Taylor. In this competition, the two judges here tonight, Mr. Jeff Edwards, with him, Mr. Mark Palmer, have the official duties, 1 to 25 for the livestock, 1 to 25 for the contestants' riding style and coordination. 69 points, 69 it was for Team New Zealand. But more importantly, you'll see that'll be 2 points to their team. Well, we're getting set to go with an Australian champion, Cody England, Wanabadgery, New South Wales. Hey, this guy spent last year in the United States of America, competed on the World Professional Tour. Drought relief. Now, long-legged Aussie Cowboy wants to bounce back with a high score and great ride, Sydney. Come on, folks, let's get a little rowdy. Let's cheer him on for an 8-second period. Well, he's one of the famous Wanabadgery boys, the England brothers, and aren't they popular as fine equine cowboys? Big round of applause for him, Sydney, Cody England. Well, look at this on the big screen. Now, watch the long spurring action. He's crisp, he's sharp. The judges will like that. Well, the numbers come through for Team Australia. 76 points. We've bounced back with a high score for Cody England. 76 points. Now the pressure turns back to the New Zealand rider. This time from Twizel, South Island of New Zealand. Stu de Ryder, 31 years of age, works as a farmhand in that part of the world. First time representing the country of New Zealand here tonight in the bareback riding, and it's the young gun time. Now, once again, these boys from New Zealand always come with a strong, oh man. Well, we might just get the paramedics to check him out, please. He came down in an unawkward orthodox dismount. Has not moved at all at this point of time. So our pickup riders will regather that horse. This is not the start the New Zealand riders would have liked. Very fortunate to have paramedics with us here tonight, and All of the precautionary time that is required will be taken for the safety and well-being of that young cowboy. Well, it's unfortunate the judges say that he was bucked off before the 8-second whistle. Well, and we're very fortunate to have this. We may see it on the big screen, the replay, but I can tell you from where I sit, folks, he is conscious and talking to the paramedics at this stage. It's a very, very dangerous sport, the sport of rodeo competition. Ladies and gentlemen, how tough is this young man from New Zealand? He gets to his feet. A big round of applause for Stu de Ryder. Man, well, he's a little shaken, a little rattled. Judges have him bucked off, no score. Now the attention will come back. It'll be 2 points to Team Australia in that particular matchup in the scoring competition. Okay, we come back to the next of our riders here tonight in the bareback bronc riding competition. This time it should be Jack Kidd. Hey, this young man comes from a little place called Croydon, right up in the Gulf country of North Queensland. As far north as rodeos are conducted, and it's the Harlem Shuffle time for the North Queensland rookie champion. And boy, he's come to Sydney to win some respect in the bareback riding. Well, folks, he's done our country proud, the boy from the bush in Croydon, far north Queensland. Let's welcome him to Sydney, New South Wales, Jack Kidd. Once again, the points accumulated here from the officials. Scores of 68 points. 68 the score that time for Jack Kidd, 68. Well, we're going to come down to our next contestant. He was the 2015 rookie bareback riding champion of New Zealand. Mark Tweedy. Mark's 36 years of age. Works as a deer farmer. Waikika. He works that hand into the bareback riding rigging, and you can see on the big screen the tools of the trade. See how they zone in on that bareback riding rigging? The thin leather glove. He'll slide right up onto that point to the handhold, and it's Model T time. Chasing a score of 68 points or better. And I tell you what, he's using every pound of string. Oh, no! Well, I'll see the officials here tonight have got him bucked off, ladies and gentlemen. That's a little disappointing in the bareback riding for that young man. It'll be a no score. It'll be a 2 points to Team Australia. No points in the bareback riding to the New Zealand matchup. Mark Tweedy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go down to what we call as the time event area for our next section of competition. Now, after the bareback riding, there was very little between the two teams. We had several guys bucked off, failing to qualify, and that does hurt in the team concept here in our international teams rodeo competition. You can understand the first night of competition, there tends to be little nerves, there tends to be some anticipation of expectations of the team members. There's been some no scores from riders that we haven't seen for a long time. So in the system that we have now, it's the dual steer wrestling competition. Two competitors compete at the one time. There is a set of electronic lights, just like we see on the stoplights in town. There's a red, amber, and green light system. The red light gives an indication that the event's about to start. The amber says, get ready, but don't run. And when the green light flashes, that's when both steers are released into the arena at the one time. And, of course, then the competitors compete. Now, representing here tonight from Team Australia is our 2012 Australian champion, Glenn Shea from Walgett. He's a long way from home. He's a second-generation contestant. And representing New Zealand, the two-time champion, John Day. Now watch the lights. Watch with anticipation. The green lights are on. It's a little disappointing. We had one steer slowed up and neither competitors have made that catch in the competition. Well, there'll be no time for the first two teams of competitors in the matchup of steer wrestling. Well, you can see the concept is you've got to wait for that steer to get out. You've got to watch him run. And, of course, you can proceed into position. The 2 points will be allocated to the fastest man to throw the steer on his side with 4 feet in the one direction. Now, those saddle bronc riders, it'll be our next event here tonight. Let's move on down to the next contestant. Matched up here tonight, representing Team Australia, is from the country music capital of Tamworth. Blake Hallam was our 2014 National All-Round Champion. He was the 2014 Steer Wrestling Champion of the Nation. He works as a farrier by profession. He commenced against David Gibson from Taupo. Dave's 37 years of age, works as an engineer in New Zealand. David Gibson, New Zealand cowboy, representing the Kiwi team of contestants in our dual steer wrestling competition. Competitors here tonight to prefer to ride the Australian quarter horses for their speed, strength and agility. Lightning fast acceleration. Lights are on, Cowboys are out. Let's see what they do this time. Australia's down, so's New Zealand. Now we've got to see the best. Blake Hallam still got a hold of his steer. Oh, Team Australia, our 2014 national champion, made short work of it. There'll be a 2-point win in the matchup for Blake Hallam here tonight. You can see the speed. .9.1 was the time for Blake Hallam, a 9.1. But more importantly, in the team competition, it'll be 2 points to Team Australia. No points have been picked up from the Kiwis in steer wrestling at this time. Well, the expectations will even get a little higher for our next contestant because he is the current Australian all-round champion. Blake Hallam was a 9-1. This is Heath Nichols. Heath regained the national steer wrestling crown in Tamworth back in January of this year. He works as a livestock agent with a company called McCallum Inglis & Co. right there in Scone, the horse capital of New South Wales. And he competes against another of our New Zealanders in Greg Lamb. Waikiki. Greg's 37 years of age. He a farmhand, works on a livestock property there in New Zealand. They are going to need to start to make some progress in the steer wrestling competition. Watch the lights once again. We'll have the red, amber and the green. The lights are on. The Cowboys are out. It's New Zealand versus Australia. Both down. The Kiwis makes a good catch, but boy, the ground is slippery. New Zealand is going to be 2 points. Australia 1 to New Zealand. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for our national champion, Heath Nichols of Scone. Picks up the 2 points. It'll be 1 to Greg Lamb from New Zealand. Well, it might be the first night of our competition here tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, let's turn our attention to the big screen. Eyes on the big board, because at this stage, New Zealand 3, Team Australia have 8 points to their credit. Well, as the arena's cleared, we make that long journey, walk back across to the bucking chutes and get set for the next competition here tonight. It is called the saddle bronc riding. Now, ever since the turn of rodeo here in Australia, saddle bronc riding has been, without any doubt, the premier competition. In this event tonight, Australia is represented by 3 of the best. First out from Currabubula. Works as a saddler by trade and profession is Danny Swadling. Horse that he's drawn, it's a horse called Moves Like Jagger. He won the big saddle bronc riding at Bendemeer recently. He's been in good form and he's looking to get it done tonight. Oh, no, ladies and gentlemen. What about the bucking horse brought to us here tonight by the famous Gill Brothers Rodeo Company? And what an outstanding bucking horse, Moves Like Jagger. Hey, look at this on the big screen, sets it up. Ladies and gentlemen, that's worth another big round of applause. What an outstanding effort and a great rodeo bucking horse that we see tonight called Moves Like Jagger. Man, if that's any indication of the livestock we've got to expect here this week, Sydney is in for the ride of their life. Well, it's now up to New Zealand, because what happens in this situation, this leaves the door wide open for the New Zealand boys to make up a little ground in the competition. And our next competitor is Ross Dowling. Ross is from Dunedin on the South Island. He's only just arrived back in his homeland. He spent last couple of seasons on the professional rodeo tour in Canada and the United States of America. He's now 27 years of age. The horse that he's drawn, the horse that he will attempt to ride, is called Twin Towers. Qualified rider is what we look for the New Zealand champion in this competition. Hey, and once again, look at the coordination, the balance. Folks, it's New Zealand on a fight back, and he has made that 8-second siren here tonight. Ross Dowling from Dunedin. Well, ladies and gentlemen, he's safely back to the arena circuit. Let's hear for the Kiwi, Ross Dowling. $70 points, 7-0 Ross, 70 points, but it's 2 points automatically on that occasion. 70 points, it will be 2 points to Team New Zealand. We cannot go without notice of our outstanding pickup riders and horsemen that we have on show here tonight, the famous Kelly boys. Peter and David Kelly have only followed on in a family legacy. His dad, Bill Kelly, picked up here through the 60s, 70s, 80s, and now the boys, David and Peter, continue on as household names in the sport of Australian rodeo competition. Hey, here's the Australian champion, Robert Bandy from the Warra Creek Station. Man, here he is on fire once again at the Sydney Royal Easter Show, ladies and gentlemen. He is the team captain of Team Australia, the 2015 National Saddle Bronc Riding Champion. Camelot, the name of that little horse. He's an institute in our rodeo world. Robert, team captain Bandy. $72 points, Rob. 72 points for the Aussies. 72 points in that matchup here tonight. 72. Well, our attention shifts back down to the New Zealand riders in the competition. Whoa, man, it's getting a little tough out there, and that's why we have Australia's best horsemen to do their job in our rodeo arena. They do an amazing job week in and week out. I can't not praise the efforts of these guys that we have in our main arena here tonight. Following this section of the saddle bronc riding, we've got the pretty ladies and fast horses with the ladies barrel racing competition, followed by the most dangerous of all, the Brahman bull riding, back at the Sydney Royal Easter Show for the first time in 12 months. It'll be on here later on this evening. How about a big round of applause for our men in the middle, folks? They do an amazing job. That's Peter and David Kelly. Well, let's turn our attention back down to a boy from Cambridge, New Zealand. 28 years of age, Jackson Laurie. Horse that he's drawn here tonight, Satisfaction, another of those good horses from the famous Gill Brothers Rodeo Company. Well, he gets a little out there, a little non-satisfaction here tonight for Jackson. Will come down a little unorthodox, unfortunately. We hope that he's up and he's okay. Well, folks, a little round of applause, a little support here tonight. Let's watch the big screen. Gets away from his rein, gets out into it, and, of course, comes down pretty hard here tonight. That was Jackson Laurie. Well, that'll be 2 points once again to Team Australia. 2 points to the Aussies. The green and gold boys shine once again here in the opening round of our saddle bronc riding competition. Well, here he is, the Bernie McMore, wanted there on the big screen, cowboy from Walker in the northern New England region of New South Wales. Bernie McMore, property manager, horse that is drawn Snakes Alive. Each one of these knows the importance of a qualified ride in the competition. Bernie was a runner-up Australian champion, and he's a hard spur and saddlebuck jump riding champion. Well, he's made a pretty good effort on a difficult horse here tonight, as he does each and every time he represents this great nation. Bernie McMore moves in, slides into the pickup riders, and once again safely back to the surface here in the main arena. Well, the numbers come through, Bernie. The judges liked it, the crowd liked it, and more importantly, 75 points to take him to the lead in the round. 75. One final contestant in this matchup of the saddle bronc riding. He was the runner-up New Zealand saddle bronc riding of 2015. From Tutira on the North Island, Graham Gannon. Second year representing New Zealand. Graham's now 26 years of age. Horse that he takes on, it's tough rock time. Well, it's time to get a little tough here tonight in the main arena, and boy, it is tough. Hey, that's a mighty recovery. Oh, no! Well, ladies and gentlemen, how have you enjoyed the saddle bronc riding? Let's hear for the Kiwi cowboy. Man, oh, man, we didn't believe it'd be that tough. Graham Gannon. Well, the officials looked to pen and paper. $63 points, 63 points, Graham. So that'll be a 1 point for his team. Of course, Bernie picks up the 2 points in his particular matchup. So as our scoreboard reads here tonight after that, ladies, the barrel racing coming up next. At this point of time, we'll have an update on the scores very shortly. Graham Gannon, they've got him down for no score, but I know there was a 63-point score on the big scoreboard. If someone can recheck that, Graham Gannon was a 63-point score. Scores now become New Zealand 6, Australia 12. Hey, we're doing pretty good on the opening night of our International Rodeo Series here in our main arena. Well, as our next event gets settled here, we are getting underway with what we call the ladies' barrel racing. In this particular competition, we have a light system once again, red, amber, and green lights. You'll see that we've got 5 barrels strategically placed in the middle of the arena. Situation is, when the lights turn green, 2 girls start at the one time. They compete in a cloverleaf pattern. And, of course, the first girl across the finish line will be deemed as our winner. Okay, competitors are getting ready. Watch the lights, the red, amber and green. Representing Australia is Bianca Hurdle. 4 times Australian champion. She rides a little horse called Rosie. Representing New Zealand here tonight, Brianna Learmont. Now they're both turned around that first barrel. Australian Cowgirl slips, but she's still in control. Bianca goes down to the third and final. She's got a narrow lead, Sydney. Let's hear it for the team Australian Cowgirl. Australian champion Bianca Hurdle. That's a 2 points to the green and gold, 1 point to New Zealand. Well, you get to see this on the big screen, and this event, girls love to ride that Australian quarter horses. They've got power and strength. Okay, let's get set to go with our next matchup here in the competition. Representing Team Australia from right down in southern New South Wales, Mariotti. Little horse she rides is called Jerry. Represented here on 3 or 4 occasions. And it's New Zealand, Emily Lemont. Well, Emily's also been a many times qualifier here at the Sydney Royal Easter Show for Team New Zealand. Hey, New Zealand Cowgirl gets around now the matchup. This is going to be a real race. It is Mariotti. Team Australia breaks narrow. She's done the turn. She's picked it up, and it's Team Australia that gets the home win. Hey, let's hear it for Team Australia. Well, they've done 2 for 2, the Cowgirls, and the green and gold machine. Looked like it was going to be New Zealand's turn, but it was a good riding, the horsemanship shown by Mariotti, that got them home here on the night of competition. Well, as we come down to the third matchup in our competition, right from Brindley on the western side of Sydney, Hayley Hill rides a little chestnut horse called Mentos. Hayley was the Australian Rookie of the Year 2 years ago in barrel racing competition. And from New Zealand, it's Carla Matthews. Carla rides a beautiful horse called Coyote. Okay, the lights are on, the girls are out. They head to that first turn. New Zealand's out early. Hey, and Carla's made a good turn. The New Zealand Cowgirls got him on track. Round that second, but once again there's been a fumble and both girls are pretty even. It looks like Hayley Hill from Brindley. Sydney's got out early, but now look at them speed home. Well, we'll check. It is 2 points to Hayley Hill and Sydney's Cowgirl. She picks up the 2 points, 1 to New Zealand. Carla Matthews. Well, you see this on the big screen. It was Carla Matthews. Just checked up a little on that second barrel. It cost her a few moments, and that's all that is required. Well, we look down to the bovine bucking chutes because we're getting ready for the danger zone. But before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, there are 2 men that I'd like to bring into the arena very, very shortly. These guys are undoubtedly the most sought after, the most courageous men in the entire sport of rodeo competition. Ladies and gentlemen, give them a big warm welcome back to the Sydney Royal Easter Show, Mr. Warren Norton and his offsider, Brodie Moss. Welcome him to Sydney, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, great to see you back here, of course, Warren. And Brodie, new cowboy to the Sydney Royal Easter Show. He's too pumped. Hey, Warren, just quickly, 8 times you've been voted the Australian Protection Clown of the Year. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, Glenn. You know, I always enjoy coming into the Sydney Royal, and you know, this is a sport that I've grown up with and loved my whole life, and not much is going to change, mate.
No, it certainly won't. It was a little disappointing this year, and our great protection clown, Lincoln Brown, sustained a seriously broken arm back in February, was unable to be here tonight, but I know he's here watching, and of course he plays a big part in the work that's done here in the main arena. But you've got a new guy with us. Tell us a bit, Brodie.
Yeah, no, Brodie's a great kid. He's up-and-coming bullfighter, and, you know, he's got a pretty level head on his shoulders, and, you know, it's always great to work with great guys. Well,
that's great. We wish you the very best of luck, and, of course, to you, Brodie. We'll talk to you tomorrow night because he's a little bit anxious, he's a little bit nervous. It's a big time Sydney Royal Easter Show. Put your hands together for them, folks. They're our protection bullfighting clowns of the Sydney Royal Easter Show, and they will be here for 14 consecutive nights. Well, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for bull riding? Hey, listen, we want to start this show a little bit different. We want to make a little more noise. Are you ready for bull riding? Well, we're going to take you all the way to Gin Gin in Western Australia. This is Wade McCarthy. King's Cross, the name of the bull. He was the 2014 Australian bull riding champion. Hey, come on, Sydney. What a night we've got coming your way. Well, we'll check from our officials here tonight. Of course, Jeff Edwards and Mark Palmer put thumbs in the air. We will have a score for our first rider here tonight. Wade comes from a very successful rodeo family. He's another of the second generation cowboys in our sport of rodeo competition. Well, the numbers come through. One Wade, you can stand tall and walk proud and wear that Guernsey with pride here tonight. 77 points for Team Australia, 77. Well, we turn our attention down to the next time for our next contestant. Hey, folks, he's a 27-year-old New Zealand bull riding champion. From Rodeo this time, it'll be Tim MacArthur. Well, the situation is for Tim, he's seen the Australian contestant Wade McCarthy already tonight post a 77-point score. Tim now has the task of being not only to ride the bull for 8 seconds, but to qualify with a score higher than 77 points. We wish him well. The tension builds here in our international teams rodeo competition. A leg down either side. It's showtime in Sydney. Well, we got one down. That's going to be 2 points to Team Australia here tonight. 2 points to Team Australia. Well, attention moves down to our next contestant in the bull riding competition. We're going to come down to Team Australia. And what a man that we've got before you. Look to the big screen, folks. This is Jason O'Hearn. Now, Jason is 37 years of age. Now, that is a veteran in our sport of bull riding. But what I can tell you, this 37-year-old veteran won the Australian Bull Riding Championship of 2015. No young man in Australian bull riding won more money than bull riding championships than this guy. It's Jason O'Hearn time, Team Australia. Around that corner, gets him popped in, fades out, and boy, that's a little disappointing from our Australasian bull riding champion. Ladies and gentlemen, pay him out here tonight with a little respect, and boy, he took one for the team in the competition, Jason O'Hearn. Well, it's back down to New Zealand for our next contestant, 25 years of age, Mick Rowson. Well, Mick rode here last week at a big rodeo at Camdenshire Rodeo. He placed second in the bull riding competition that night and showed some great form with an 82-point score. 25 years of age. New Zealand yet to qualify in the bull riding competition, but boy, it has been a tough night for them all round. So far, the scoreboard reads New Zealand 9, Australia a commanding lead of 20 points coming into the bull riding event. Okay, Mick Rowson's turn. Well, he's out and around that first corner, gets him started good, back and around the other way. Hey, this New Zealand kid, oh no! He's got off his pockets to the outside of the spin. Well, you can see the centrifugal force that he weathered throughout that part of the ride. We get to see it on the big screen, wears him down, gets him a little tipped onto his pockets. He slides back, and when you've got a bull that weighs close to 900 kilos, it can be extremely difficult to weather. Well, as we come down to the final of our young bull riders from Team Australia, here's a young man that I can recognise as being one of the hottest prospects Australian bull riding's seen in an eternity. Not only in bull riding, but he's an all-round champion. He represented our nation at the World Finals Youth Rodeo in the United States of America last season. He's born and raised, both his mum and dad were North Queensland champions. This is Braden Welby from Townsville, far north Queensland. And the bull that he's drawn, it's the Party Animal. Well, he's the youngest. He's the only teenage rider from Team Australia in the entire outfit. He's the youngest, but don't take anything away from him. He's one of the hottest prospects Australia's seen in a long, long time. The young Townsville superstar. He's the Jonathan Thurston of bull riding in Australia. Man, what an effort. Hey, put your hands together for him, folks. He's a teenager from Townsville. That was Brian Welby's boy and Braden Welby. Well, they got him bucked off. You can see once again, he just got worn down. That bull called the Party Animal. Well, what we try to do at the conclusion of each ride, we try to take the bulls back to their unsettling enclosure. More familiar surroundings where they can relax and enjoy the Sydney Royal Easter Show. It also lessens the dangers that are involved with our bull riding. We might just let a couple of those steers out there and get his bearings a little back this way. Livestock, rodeo animals tend to run a little better with friends and mobs. They live together in the paddocks in the outback. And, of course, we'll just get him a couple of those buddies that live in that Horton Valley region. The Party Animal doing his victory lap here tonight as we get ready to go with our final bull rider in our competition. Sorry. Well, it'll only be a couple of moments now with one of our final contestants yet to ride in the competition. And, of course, that being young Ernie Rika. Yeah, we've got him surrounded and corralled. And now the safety factor's been reduced, and of course we can allow our next and final contestant to take up his position here tonight. Well, it looks like it's the boy from Rotorua, Ernie Rika. You know, Ernie's 23 years of age. He works in the thoroughbred racing industry in Rotorua. He works every morning at their local race course as a track work rider. Weekends, it's about bull riding and rodeo competition, Ernie Rika. First time representing New Zealand here tonight. Wouldn't they like to finish on a high note and a high score? Just give them a little self-confidence before round number 2 tomorrow evening. A lot of team morale at this point of time. Okay, Ernie, let's see if we can get it done here tonight. It's out and around, starts him up, gets him going. Hey, look at the outside foot. He's moving and grooving, making that 8. It's going to be close. Oh, yeah, let's put our hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen. New Zealand final contestant, Ernie Rika, will have a score on the board here tonight to polish things up. Hey, let's watch it on the big screen. The outside foot moves, keeps his body forward in the bull riding motion. Free hand is good for the 8 seconds. We check from the officials. 73 points tonight, Ernie. 73 points in our competition. So that'll be 2 points for Team New Zealand to wrap that round of our competition up. It was a 73-point score. 2 points to New Zealand. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that will wind down tonight's first round of our International Teams Rodeo competition at the Sydney Royal Easter Show. And tonight, it gives me great pleasure to announce the final scores on the spotless big screen. New Zealand 11, but Team Australia 20 points, and they are the winners of round number 1, led out here tonight by the courageous team captain in Robert Bendy. Hey, give him a big round of applause, Sydney. First time back for 2016. The Sydney Royal Easter Show Rodeo competition runs for 14 nights. We've got 6 rounds of the International Series. At the conclusion of that event, we then go Tuesday, Wednesday night. We've got the Poley Buck Jump Riding competition. I should say Wednesday, Thursday. And, of course, the big State of Origin series winds up the last 6 nights over Easter with New South Wales taking on arch rivals Queensland. Well, folks, hope you've enjoyed tonight's rodeo competition. It's with great pleasure I hand back now to main ring control, of course, my good friend Angus Lane, and with him this year, young Kate. Take it away. Thanks, Angus.